Last week saw major announcements by British Chancellor of the Exchequer George Osborne and Bank of England Chief Mervyn King relating to the British economy. UK retailers have been hit hard by waning consumer sentiment, although the latest figures released by the British Retail Consortium have surprised to the upside. And I'm joined now from London by BRC's Richard Dodd. Richard, can we take these latest figures as a sign that British retailers are turning the corner?
There's no fundamental improvement here. Certainly this is growth in cash terms compared with a year ago. So the total amount spent was up by 2.5% compared with September last year. And that is better growth than the previous month, August, when it was 1.5%. But actually it's peripheral factors like the weather boosting food sales and a lot of discounts and a lot of promotional activity that are helping that, rather than any basic shift in how customers are feeling. People are still very concerned about their own situations, about the wider economy, and they're still very reluctant to spend where they don't have to. And of course that cash value sales growth is actually less than inflation and still means that people are buying less stuff than they were a year ago. So sales volumes are down.
We saw the BOE and George Osborne make major stimulus-related announcements last week. Is there any clear signs how this will trickle down to consumers?
Well, we're heading into the year's most important trading period, of course, in the run-up to Christmas, and what we really need is a return of optimism, and I think that requires that people feel that next year they will see some payback for the pain they're experiencing at the moment. So what we need to see is consumer confidence return, and I think it's going to need some sort of indication that the government's moves since it was elected are actually starting to pay off. I mean, what the government is doing, certainly in terms of cutting public spending and tackling the deficit, that is all the right sort of thing to do. When it comes to retailers, what it needs to do is make sure that it's not adding new costs and regulatory burdens, because of course the retail sector is struggling, and these figures are more evidence of how difficult it actually is. So, for example, next year's business rates increase, we're going to find out very soon what September's retail price index was. Next April's business rates increase will be based on that. Chances are it'll be around 5%. This year, retailers experienced a 4.6% increase in their business rates, so they don't need another 5% on top of that in these difficult times. So that's just one example of where the government ought to be addressing the costs that businesses, including retailers, are facing, to help them to fight through and to help them in turn to help customers. There's a big price war going on, lots of discounting and promoting, particularly on the grocery side amongst UK retailers. That's really squeezing margins. If retailers are going to keep doing that, and it's certainly benefiting customers, then they need a bit of assistance too from government.
I know no one wants to talk about Christmas yet, but as you said, it is such a vital time. What are your expectations for this key season?
What usually happens for Christmas is that people temporarily put aside their concerns, and there's no doubt their concerns at the moment are great. People tend to park those if they possibly can, and to go out still and spend on the things that they need and want for Christmas. But of course, chances are that reality will return once we get into the new year, and that we'll see another clampdown by customers on their spending. So usually, any gains for Christmas are then seriously threatened once you get into the new year. So probably overall it will be an okay Christmas, definitely not spectacular, probably not a disaster. The big questions are about what happens next year.
That's it for the moment. We'll continue to bring you quality insights here on Dukes Copy TV, but for now, goodbye.